Hello everyone, Storm101 here. Today we'll be talking about the tropics today. We right now have Invest 94L in this region right here. And we also may have a possibility for a tropical system that could develop into the ports of the Caribbean. We'll talk about both of those things, but let's first talk about Invest 94L right here, which has got a pretty decent chance of developing, and I do expect these percentages to go up over the next probably a few more updates here or so. Formation for the next 48 hours, 40% chance, medium chance, which is a decent chance. For the next 5 days, it's a 60% chance, which I think this thing here will likely develop into a tropical system here. And I'm going to show you guys some uh, model runs on this one here as well. For this system right here, however, well, there's not really a system right now, but we do expect a broad area of low pressure system to develop in this region in here. And it could stay stationary over here for a little bit, then eventually start to move to the north. And we'll talk about beyond that as well, where it could possibly go as well. But let's first talk about the names here that are going to be coming up. So we already had Alpha, we already had Beta, we already had Gamma, we already had Delta. The next two names that will likely be on the list here would be Epsilon. I have a hard time pronouncing that, and then you got Zeta right here as well. And these two here will likely get named by those two storms, but beyond that, we're not really sure yet. But that's just the next two names on the list here. And let's talk about Invest 94L here, which will likely probably cut Epsilon first. Epsilon there. Um, you can see here by the hurricane, also the tracks. You can see Bermuda is right here. We got a very wide uncertainty here with the models here. But Bermuda does have a threat. But for the United States, however, there's no threat at all for U.S. landfall. So that's some good news for people on the East Coast. Although you guys along the East Coast can see some rip currents, probably Ruger waves as well. So definitely gotta watch out for that as well. Wherever Invest 94L becomes stronger as well. You can see here's the track here. It's going to be making a circle here across the west central portions of the Atlantic Ocean here. But again, Bermuda does have a threat, and that's really the only threat for land for right now. Although it could change some as well and may miss Bermuda, which is a possibility there. Here's the intensity forecast for Invest 94L. You can see here widespread on model certainty, anywhere from a strong tropical depression, which I highly doubt it, to a category 2 hurricane. I think this I think my forecast on this system here is probably going to be a strong tropical storm, maybe even a low end category 1 hurricane as well. Really, the conditions are a little bit favorable for some tropical development, so I do expect this thing here to develop at least into a tropical storm, although a low-end Category 1 hurricane is possible with this system here. But we're not really going to talk a little bit too much about with Invest 94L because it does really have a threat to the United States, exception for Bermuda. But if anybody is watching for Bermuda on this video here, just gotta keep an eye on Invest 94L here. So that's it for Invested 94L. Let's go back here. Again, like I said, there's going to be a broad area of low pressure system to develop across portions of the Caribbean here and eventually be moving to the north. Now, this is not named as an invest yet, so we don't have hurricane models, although what we do have is some of the medium to long range models here. So we'll be taking a look at the GFS and the European model today. Now, warning you guys here, the GFS is going to be going a little bit crazy with this upcoming system here. Although there is another key thing that can likely happen around the same time. So, let's kind of continue on here. There's going to be kind of a weak nor'easter going on across the northeastern United States. You can see there'll be some heavy snow going on across some of those regions. And as we kind of continue on here, you can see here's possibility for some snow across portions of the Great Lakes and Midwest. Kind of really multiple waves of snow showers across some of these regions here. So that's pretty nice for those folks up there that do like winter weather. You can see here, right in here, that's what could potentially be Epsilon there. Could become a hurricane, or at least a tropical storm. I think it likely happen, but it could become a hurricane. But you can see here at the bottom of the screen here, you can see here it's starting to pick up what may be Zeta there. You got a cold front right here, so that's going to push that thing away from the United States. But then you got another trough really starting to, you know, gain strength here across the Northern Rockies here. You also got a strong low pressure system as well trying to develop from Colorado. At the same time, you got a rapidly intensifying hurricane here, which we don't know if this is going to happen or not, but it's a possibility. Could rapidly intensify in the Caribbean. If we go a couple more frames here, you can see here your trough is really starting to gain some strength here, becoming quite a strong trough. You can see here a lot of snow across the northern plains. You can see here with Zeta here makes an impact for central Cuba here. You can see here that could be a major hurricane there. Passes over them, does weaken some more, but let me give you guys a perspective of how large the storm is at this point here. Basically, your storm size is about this big right here. Extends, I mean, your system is at Cuba. Meanwhile, some of the other outer bands of the storm is at the North Carolina coast. That's kind of insane there of how large the storm really could potentially get. Meanwhile, you got a cold front coming through the central portions of the United States. As this thing is moving north, this trough here is getting closer. If we go by a couple more frames, the storm here is intensifying just a little bit more, but it's still a very large storm here. Still got some of the remains, maybe back all the way back nearby Cuba and some of the outer bands as about as far north as maybe possibly way up to Massachusetts, at least some of its moisture is. But that could be portions of the storm there. You can see here as they start to interact here. Now this is the 10-day marker. So beyond this, this is going to be like La La Land or whatever for the models. So this is likely going to change here. If we move on to another frame here, still quite a strong system, but although this is becoming more of a frontal system than a tropical system, to keep in mind that you can see our front cold front will start to develop here, warm front will start to develop somewhere in here. Meanwhile, at the same time, showing snow across Kentucky and Tennessee, which is quite ridiculous. Move on to another frame. Now, this is uh, Monday evening of October 26th. You can see it makes an impact for the northeastern United States. Move on to another frame here. Your trough really starts to move in, bringing in some snow across some of those regions there, where what could potentially be uh, Zeta here could bring a winter storm across eastern Canada. Is this going to happen? It's a possibility at least. It does have somewhat of agreement from the European model, which is something we're going to take a look into here. But this is likely going to change again as well. So let's move on to the European model. Let's kind of move on here. You can see here's what may be Epsilon there. Here's Bermuda right there. See this Epsilon, what may be Epsilon, could is looking to miss Bermuda, indicating by the European model, which is some good news there. But then some of its remains possibly so we're not really picking up on anything. Actually, your main circulation looks to be right there. Although it does pick up a potentially a tropical system here from the Gulf here and eventually moving up to the northeast here, bringing a winter storm across portions of the northeast as well. Is this going to happen? Probably not because it's still developing in the Gulf. Although it does have a similar solution what the GFS is showing, but kind of a different scenario here from a separate system here. Although the European model is saying, no, it's not going to develop, which I highly doubt it here. The European model has not been doing a good job so far this hurricane season, so won't or will not rather follow the European model, although I do trust a little bit more on GFS than the European model, just basing off from this run here. Let's take a look at the ingredients here for tropical activity here. And so this is the University of Miami here. And here's your ocean heat content here. Now, really favorable conditions for tropical systems is really in the greens. The red colors there, that's a very favorable for tropical systems here. And what the GFS showed here, going over some of the very high ocean heat content here, which is not a good sign here. There's also even very high ocean heat content around the Bahamas. So it can at least, you know, rapidly intensify again after Cuba, although that's a very wild guess there to, guess about because we are still very far out. But the conditions, for, sea surface temperatures, ocean heat content, looks to be very favorable for tropical systems. So let's take a look at wind shear here and kind of move on here. Here's your broad area of low pressure right here, develops into portions of the Caribbean. You can see here as we kind of go through some frames. Not a lot of wind shear to deal with in the Caribbean, which is not good news there because that can lead to some rapid intensification, and is exactly what the GFS model is starting to show here. Passes over Cuba here, gets a little bit of wind shear inside of it, although it does survive. But then when it gets into the northeastern United States, it hits some very strong wind shear, at least 50 knots, and it should die down afterwards there as well. And then it pretty much becomes a frontal system, as you can see here. That's pretty much the cold front of what may be Veta there as well. So again, the conditions are favorable for tropical systems here from forecast models, although we can't really say that yet because it's still a little bit further out. You can see here if we kind of go back here, the broad area low pressure pretty much develops on Tuesday here, which is still a few days out here. So we're going to see what the models are going to be trending towards as well. It's kind of too early to say for a forecast on Veta, or Zeta, I should say. I know I was saying something wrong about the name, but what could be Zeta is definitely could be someone to watch very closely here. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys have liked this video, hit the like button. If you really do like my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put a comment section down below. I'll answer your guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.